Heartwarming gesture. Cleaner helps elderly woman, unknowingly revealing her life-changing secret. Emily had spent her day scrubbing floors and dusting shelves, her muscles sore but her spirit undeterred. It was just another day in her whirlwind life as a single mother, but tucked in the back of her mind was a dream, a better life for her and her spirited daughter, Lily. If the warmth of Lily's laughter were a sound, it would echo like music through the drudgery, lifting her up even when bills piled high and eviction notices hovered like dark clouds. But Emily wouldn't let it all drown her. She had hope. On this fateful afternoon, while cleaning the modest home of Ruth, an elderly widow, something unexpected happened. As Emily dusted off a framed photograph, her eyes caught a glimpse of a wooden box peeking out from a dark corner of the closet. Curiosity surged through her. What secrets might it hold? She opened the box and uncovered a stack of yellowed letters, each one filled with raw love and heartache, penned by Ruth's late husband, a war veteran. As Emily read the beautiful words, she felt like she was peering into a treasure chest of memories. It was a connection that stretched through time and space, warm and inviting. Just as the letters illuminated Ruth's past, they also bridged an emotional gap between the two women. Ruth began sharing her stories, weaving tales of joy and sorrow amidst tears and laughter. Each moment felt like a balm for Emily's weary soul, igniting a flame of longing for her own family to share similar bonds. These conversations became their shared refuge, a reminder that no matter how tough things got, compassion could build bridges. Yet, as her employer struggled, Emily felt the ground of stability beneath her feet weaken. Determined to bring back a sense of family into Ruth's lonely life, Emily devised a family reunion plan, picturing laughter, nostalgia, and wounded hearts mending with heartfelt conversations. When she laid out the idea to Ruth, the flicker of hope glimmered in her eyes. It had been too long since a spark of joy had ignited within her, and Emily felt her own heart swell with possibility. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. But as the reunion date approached, tension bubbled beneath the surface with the arrival of Ruth's estranged children. Each brought baggage, grievances tightly wrapped and ready to unfurl in awkward confrontations. Emily's heart raced as she stood amidst the storm, witnessing emotional explosions that threatened to tear apart the fragile connections they had begun to form. Just when she feared everything would unravel, a hidden revelation regarding Ruth's late husband emerged, an echo of history that held the power to redefine everything. As silence fell in the room, the air thick with unresolved emotions, Emily's mind raced. Would love truly mend these fractured ties? In that moment, standing on the brink of emotional upheaval, questions loomed like shadows. Could they transcend the past's torments and find a new path forward? Or would the ghosts of yesterday tear them apart once more? Emily took a deep breath, her heart pounding in her chest as she watched Ruth's children exchange heated words. The atmosphere was electric, filled with a tension that felt as thick as fog. Emily's memories of the laughter and love that had bloomed in the house only days before felt distant, almost like a dream. She glanced at Ruth, who sat quietly in her chair, her face a mask of anguish. It was clear the weight of the past had returned, threatening to smother the flickering hope Emily had sparked in her. Enough. Ruth's voice cut through the chaos, surprising everyone into silence. The room froze, and all eyes turned to her. This is my home, and I want peace. Her frail frame seemed to fill with a newfound strength. We have so much to talk about, so many memories to share. Can't we try to remember what united us instead of what tore us apart? Emily felt a rush of gratitude for Ruth's courage. But as the silence hung in the air, Emily couldn't shake the unease. She could sense the roller coaster of emotions ready to take another dive. Ruth's children exchanged cautious glances, their anger simmering down to a whisper of uncertainty. "I found the letters," Emily said softly, stepping forward, hoping her words would serve as a bridge. "They're beautiful, the love your father had for you, Ruth, and the family he cherished." She looked from Ruth to her children, her voice trembling but steady. "I think it's time to share those stories. He left a part of himself with each of you." The room felt tenser, the air charged with the promise of vulnerability. Ruth's eyes glistened with unshed tears as she looked at her children. "You deserve to know him, truly know him, not just as the father who was gone, but as the man who loved you deeply." As if struck by a wave of remembrance, Ruth continued, "He had dreams beyond the war, dreams for this family. Let us honor him. Let us listen." Emily's heart swelled as a thread of connection began to weave them all together. The children took hesitant steps closer to their mother. Shadows of their past loomed, but there was no turning back now. This moment held the potential to rewrite their fractured narrative. But just as it seemed the walls were crumbling, Lily burst through the door, her energy like bright sunlight on a stormy day. A bouquet of wildflowers clutched in her tiny hands, she twirled into the room. "Look, Mommy. I picked these for Grandma Ruth." The innocence of her excitement hung sweetly in the thick air, lightening the mood. Emily froze, gazing at her daughter with a mix of joy and dread. Would Lily's innocent gesture be a blessing that drew them all together, or would it remind them of unresolved memories? Still, Emily hoped it could be the divine spark that could ignite a deeper connection among them all. Hey there, sweetheart." Emily knelt down, wanting to shield her daughter from the ensuing emotional storm. Yet, in that moment, she realized there was no turning back. Emotions would collide and clash, just as they had for generations, but this time, change felt palpable. Ruth reached for Lily, taking the wildflowers, eager to embrace the warmth of youthful hope. "Thank you, dear. They're beautiful." Suddenly, a soft knock interrupted the tender moment, and tension flickered back into the atmosphere. The door creaked open, revealing an unexpected figure from Ruth's past, a family member none had anticipated. Could this surprise visitor hold the key to healing the fractures in their story? As everyone processed the bombshell, Emily's heart raced, knowing the truth might change everything for Ruth and her children. Would they embrace this new twist or recoil from it? As the door swung open wider, the whispers of the past poured into the room, shattering the fragile moment that Emily had hoped would sow understanding among them. The figure stood there tall, with graying hair that framed a face both familiar and foreign to Ruth. It was Evelyn, Ruth's sister. The years had etched lines across her brow, but her eyes held the same spark that had once lit the brothers and sisters' gatherings around the family table. "Ruth?" Evelyn spoke, her voice barely above a whisper, dripping with a mixture of surprise and regret. Ruth's breath hitched as she processed the sight of her sister standing before her. Years of silence filled the space between them, heavy and tangible. Ruth's fingers twitched, unsure whether to reach out or to recoil. "Evelyn, I thought I'd never see you again." The air shifted. The children's expressions morphed from latent anger to shock. They had heard stories of their mother's sister, tales laced with unresolved hurt and longing. "What are you doing here?" Ruth asked, her voice sturdy, yet laced with vulnerability. Evelyn stepped further inside, hesitant but determined. "I was in the area. I heard about your husband. I didn't know if you needed me." "If you wanted to talk," her words trailed off, the weight of unspoken history pressing down on them. Emily watched, her own heart racing. This was the twist she had not anticipated. Would old wounds now reopen, leading to more pain? Or could this be the catalyst that finally brought healing? Evelyn's gaze swept across the room, landing on the children. "I see you've grown up," she said softly, each syllable steeped in warmth and sorrow. "I missed so much, but I want to be a part of your lives again." The children exchanged glances, each grappling with the complexity of having a long-lost family member standing in front of them. A mixture of hesitation and curiosity flickered in their eyes. Emily sensed a glimmer of something, a spark of hope, maybe that could unite them in the face of fracturing family bonds. Maybe it's time we talked about everything," Ruth finally said, her voice wavering, yet resolute. She looked at Emily, then at her sister, the fabric of their family frayed but not completely torn. The letters could be the beginning. We all deserve to know. Lily skipped forward, oblivious to the weight of the moment, her wildflowers bright against the subdued colors of the room. "Do you want some flowers, Aunt Evelyn?" "They're for Grandma." She beamed, holding out the bouquet like an offering of innocence and love. That small gesture cracked the heavy silence, and Evelyn's lips quirked into a soft smile. "I would love them," she said, kneeling down to accept them. As she took the flowers, a hint of lightness returned to the room. Just as a shared warmth began to envelop them, a sudden pang of tension darted through the air. Ruth's children began whispering softly again, recalling the stories they had heard growing up. "Why did you leave, Aunt Evelyn? Why did we grow up without you?" The questions were raw, void of filters. Ruth felt the tension rise once more. The emotional landscape shifted like loose stones underfoot, threatening to give way. Could they bear the truth? Did they truly want to delve into the past when it had found them once more in unexpected ways? Caught in the balance, Emily realized the weight of the moment had only grown heavier. Would they face their shared history together, or allow it to tear them apart yet again? As the tension hovered, Ruth took a deep breath. Let us start together. What secrets would unravel from their family ties? Emily's heart raced, knowing that the answers could either bind them closer or cause everything to fracture once more. The conversation ahead felt daunting, but it was a step toward healing that none of them could avoid. Was this the beginning or just another setback? Ruth felt a swell of fear and hope as she locked eyes with Evelyn. It was the first time in years they had the chance to speak, and yet here they were, vulnerable and exposed, staring down the shadows of their shared history. "Why did you leave us?" Lily's voice, bright yet tremulous, cut through the tension again. Every eye turned to Evelyn, each child's expression swinging between curiosity and caution. The innocence of youth couldn't hide their confusion. How could a sister disappear without explanation? Evelyn inhaled sharply, her gaze dropping to the wildflowers still held in her hands. "I never wanted to leave," she began, her voice trembling like the petals of Lily's bouquet. "But sometimes life takes us in directions we never expect." A crack formed in Evelyn's facade, a glimpse of the struggles hidden beneath her calm exterior. The room felt smaller, the walls almost closing in as memories danced like phantoms around them. "Are you okay?" Emily found herself asking, touched by the raw edge in Evelyn's tone. Ruth felt grateful for her friend's presence, as if the weight was being shared among them all. Evelyn blinked, composing herself. Her voice faltered again, but she pushed through. "After everything that happened, it felt impossible to return. I was afraid of facing you all. But now, seeing you, I wish I had been stronger." Ruth's heart sank. The yearning for a sister she barely knew tugged at her, battling against the years of hurt that lay heavy in the room. "You were supposed to be a part of our lives," she whispered, ashamed at how desperate she sounded. The children shifted, their youthful faces mirroring the swirling emotions in the adults' hearts. "Mom, why can't we just ask her everything?" frowned Jake, the oldest, his youthful bravado simmering beneath layers of hurt. "It doesn't seem fair, keeping it all bottled up. We need answers." Evelyn nodded slowly, her eyes glistening at the earnestness of her niece and nephews. "You deserve to know," she said. "And I owe you the truth. I've carried so much guilt all these years." As they settled into the quiet that followed, it became clear this was a turning point, a moment when hurt could intertwine with healing. They shared a collective breath, feeling the shift within them like a door creaking open to a brighter space, filled with opportunities for understanding. Ruth looked at her sister, emotions swirling around, a storm of memories originating from a younger, more innocent time. What did you have to endure? Ruth swallowed, patience waning in favor of urgency. What kept you away? Evelyn straightened her posture, summoning courage the way a warrior does before entering battle. It all started the day Mom got sick. There were secrets, things I felt I had to carry alone, so you wouldn't have to bear them. Suddenly, her words were heavy with implications. The room shared a breath, a collective anticipation that dared to hope for clarity. Ruth leaned in, on the edge of a precipice over a tumultuous sea of revelations. While I was away, Evelyn continued, I had to make decisions, choices I thought were for the best. But I realize now maybe they weren't. The children listened intently, the old stories mixing with freshly carved memories in the making. Would these newfound revelations bind them all closer, or would they disclose deeper wounds? Lily plopped back onto the floor, her flower crown slipping from her head, and time felt like it was stretching inwards and outwards all at once, too fast yet too slow for comfort. As Evelyn opened her mouth to continue, the door creaked further, echoing with unspoken words, each inch uncovering layers of pain and possibility. What more awaited them? Would the storm bring destruction or nurture new beginnings? The spark ignited within each of them, urging them to dive deeper. Yet for every answer, a flood of questions threatened to drown them in history. Please, Jake interjected, sensing the tension beside him. Just tell us the truth. The room fell silent again, heartbeat after heartbeat echoing with intensity. What might Evelyn reveal? Next. Would they confront the past or dismiss it as just another family saga? The anticipation hung heavy, tinged with fragile hope. Evelyn inhaled deeply, her breath shaky as she steadied herself. The weight of the moment pressed down on her, each face around her a reflection of the life she had missed and the truths she had buried deep within. The truth, it's not easy, but it's important, she began, her voice low and steadying. It was right after Mom was diagnosed. I was scared, terrified. I'd seen how it broke her, how it shattered our family. I thought if I left, maybe I could find a way to save myself from that pain and spare you all from mine, she confessed, glancing around the room, gauging everyone's reaction. Ruth felt her heart tighten. It was the first real admission of truth from Evelyn. By leaving, you thought you'd help us? Yes, Evelyn said, her voice tinged with regret. I thought if I stayed away, it would be easier. I convinced myself that by not being part of your lives, you'd suffer less. I was wrong, though so wrong. Jake leaned forward, his brow furrowed with confusion. But we wanted you here. We needed you. The rawness of his words hung heavy, echoing in the silence that enveloped them. Evelyn took a moment, looking down as memories cascaded like falling leaves, each one a memory of joy mixed with the sorrow of what they had lost. It wasn't just Mom's illness. There were ties, people I met, decisions I made that I thought would lead me to happiness. But it pulled me away from everything that mattered. How could you think that was okay? Ruth couldn't help but voice the hurt. You left us to face all of it alone. I grew up trying to fill that void, trying to understand why you'd choose to be far away. I thought it was best for you, Evelyn said, tears glossing her eyes. But I see now how selfish that was, and I regret it every day. I didn't realize until recently that our lives were intertwined. My choices affected all of you. Lily shifted, her eyes wide and shimmering. Did you ever think about coming back? I did, every single day, Evelyn whispered, voice breaking. But fear paralyzed me. I thought it'd be easier to stay away. I never expected to be met with so much warmth and forgiveness after everything I'd done. Emotions swirled. The room was thick with unspoken thoughts. So what changed? Ruth asked, desperate for closure and understanding. Evelyn stole a glance toward the window, as if the answer lay outside in the fading light. I learned that facing the storm instead of running from it brings strength, not just for me but for us all. And I realized I needed to take responsibility for the choices I made, not just run away from them. The children exchanged glances, absorbing what their aunt had just shared. They felt the shift, the moment shifting from a whirlwind of emotions to a space for healing. "Let us take it one step at a time," Emily suggested, her gentle voice cutting through the tension. "You're here now. We can talk. We can mend these broken pieces together." Ruth turned to Evelyn, her anger softening amidst a glimmer of understanding. "Maybe we can forgive together." Evelyn nodded, a tear slipping down her cheek. "I want that more than anything." But just as the relief began to settle, the door swung open behind them. A figure stood silhouetted in the hallway, eyes wide with what seemed like a mix of fear and exhilaration. I didn't mean to interrupt, but all heads turned to face the newcomer, hearts skipping a beat as the tension returned. Who was this? Another shadow from the past, or an unexpected visitor bringing more revelations? "Please, don't you see? I have something truly important to share," the stranger said, voice urgent yet trembling. What could it possibly be? Here they were, standing on the brink of healing, but the road ahead now seemed lined with new mystery. What would unfold next? The stranger stepped forward, and the low light caught a corner of his face. Evelyn squinted, her heart racing. "Who are you?" She found her voice, steadying herself after the emotional storm they had just endured. I'm Daniel," he stammered, shifting nervously on his feet. "I used to know your mother. I came to deliver a message." A ripple of surprise washed through the room. Evelyn's breath caught. "My mother? What do you mean?" Daniel swallowed hard, glancing between the family members. I didn't know how to say this, not after all these years. But your mother asked me to find you, Evelyn." Silence enveloped them again. Ruth crossed her arms, suspicion creeping into her expression. "How do you know her?" Daniel seemed small in the face of their scrutiny, but he held his ground. "I used to help at the community center where she volunteered. I loved her strength. She often talked about her family, about the deep bond you shared. Before she passed, she asked me to make sure you knew how proud she was of you." Tears brimmed in Evelyn's eyes once more. Proud? Of me? The concept felt foreign. She had always felt like a ghost, haunting her own past. "Yes," Daniel said, nodding earnestly. "She wanted you to know that despite everything, she loved you. And she hoped you could forgive her and yourself." Ruth's expression softened, but an uneasy tension still lingered. "Why were you holding on to this? Why now?" "I didn't know how to reach her. When I finally retired and missed her every day, I resolved to find you. But it took time." He paused, running a hand through his hair nervously. "It was important to me that you received this before you moved forward." Lily blinked, her young heart absorbing the weight of his words. "And you thought we'd just take it? We don't even know you." "I didn't expect anything. I just thought you should know the truth of who she was. You were a light in her life, even when you weren't around." Evelyn felt a surge of conflicting emotions. A rush of love, regret, and a touch of anger washed over her. What were her last days like? Was she afraid? Daniel took a breath, glancing towards the ground. She was brave. Every day she fought hard, but her thoughts kept drifting back to you, longing for the chance to see you again. She never stopped believing you'd come home. Evelyn stepped back, the gravity of his words bearing down on her. "I don't know how to do this," she whispered, feeling the walls of her carefully built defenses beginning to crack. "What do you mean?" Ruth's voice was soft, the earlier storm within her ebbing. "I've spent years running, thinking I was protecting everyone," Evelyn said, her voice barely a whisper. "What if the truth just keeps hurting?" Suddenly, they were all caught in a tangled web of emotions. The shadows of the past seemed to seep into the corners of the room, laced with memories that felt both distant and palpable. Then Daniel stepped closer, his demeanor shifting from uncertain to resolute. You can't move forward unless you acknowledge your past. It's painful, but it can also set you free. Evelyn's heart raced with the weight of his words. What he said resonated deeply within her. There was nothing easy about facing the truth, yet perhaps this moment was an opening, not just for her but for them all. Just then, the air in the room seemed to still, a quiet understanding settling among them. If we're going to do this, Ruth said softly, we have to do it together. All of us. Can we? It was a simple question but heavy with importance. Sorrow lingered in every word, yet there was hope of connection, a chance to rewrite their story. Evelyn felt the warmth of her family, standing beside her, ready to brave the storm together. But before she could respond, Daniel added urgently, there's one more thing, something your mother left behind for you. What could it be? A letter? A clue to a past long buried? Suddenly, the swirling emotions of the room grew thick again with anticipation and fear. What else did her mother hold within the folds of time? Evelyn's heart pounded at the thought. Was this the final piece she needed to confront her past? Or something more devastating? Evelyn's heart was thudding in her chest, her breath shallow as Daniel reached into his pocket. The small action felt monumental, as if everything hinged on what he was about to produce. The room remained hushed, a stillness thrumming with anticipation. Daniel pulled out a delicate, faded envelope, the edges worn and soft, as if it had been cherished for years. Holding it out like a fragile treasure, he said, "This is for you, Evelyn. Your mother kept it close until the very end. She believed it would guide you." Evelyn hesitated, her fingers trembling as they closed around the envelope. The weight of it felt heavier than just paper. It held fragments of her mother's past, the essence of their connection, and perhaps answers to the questions that haunted her for years. "What does it say?" Lily whispered, eyes wide with a blend of curiosity and anxiety. Taking a deep breath, Evelyn slid her fingernail under the flap of the envelope, feeling the aged paper beneath. It took all her resolve to peel it open, each crack of the paper echoing in the silence. She pulled out a letter, the familiar yet foreign handwriting standing out against the muted yellowing paper. "Mom," she breathed, her voice cracking. The name felt almost sacred on her lips. She unfolded the letter carefully, as if afraid the words might crumble away. "Dearest Evelyn," she read aloud, her heart racing again. "If you're reading this, it means I couldn't be there to tell you in person how deeply I love you. I know that I've made mistakes that led you to believe you had to walk away from me. But I want you to know that my love for you is unending." The words swirled within her, bittersweet and cutting. Tears spilled over as she continued. "I always admired your strength, your vibrant spirit, and I'm so proud of the person you've become. I hope one day you can forgive me for not being the mother you deserved." Evelyn's hand shook, heart pounding louder with every sentence she read, conveying truths she had long buried. She felt Daniel's eyes on her, and Ruth shifted uncomfortably, feeling the weight of their shared history. "In this envelope, I've also included something special, a photograph. It holds a memory of our happiest day together, a reminder of the love that still exists between us, even when the world feels dark. Promise you'll look at it." More tears fell, blurring her vision. A photograph? She glanced hastily down at the envelope, her breath hitching again. What could it reveal? A smile tugged at the corners of her lips as her heart danced between sadness and relief. Evelyn continued reading, "Life may take us down paths we never expected, but I believe our love is strong enough to bridge any distance. Embrace your journey, my dear girl, and always remember you are never alone." With that, the letter ended, but the emotional storm inside Evelyn was only just beginning to swell. She felt Daniel's presence beside her, a steadfast reminder that she wasn't alone in this moment. "Evelyn," Daniel said softly, his voice like a bomb. "You don't have to carry this weight alone. Let this letter guide you toward healing." What if I can't?" She whispered back, the fear creeping back in. You can, he encouraged gently. And this is your chance to start anew. Let the love she had for you become your strength. Evelyn looked up, meeting each of their eyes. Ruth S., Lily S., Daniel S. In that moment, an unspoken commitment filled the room. They were all in this together. But deep down, the question loomed over Evelyn like storm clouds: was she truly ready to confront not just the past, but the path that lay before her? The future remained uncertain, and she couldn't help but wonder, would it be worth facing her demons for the chance to reconnect? As they each processed the heartfelt moment, a sudden knock at the door jolted them, breaking the spell woven by the letter. Who could that be, interrupting this moment of vulnerability? The anticipation hung in the air again, a new twist waiting just beyond the threshold. Would it be someone from her mother's past? Or perhaps news that would change everything again? Evelyn's heart raced as the knock resonated through the fragile silence. It felt like an unwelcome interruption to a moment that had been so tender, a moment that brought her closer to her mother's spirit. Daniel stood up slowly, his expression shifting to cautious curiosity. "Should I get that?" he asked, looking between Evelyn and the door. His body turned, ready to spring into action. Lily's eyes darted to the door too, her hand squeezing Evelyn's reassuringly. "Do you want me to?" she offered, concern threading through her voice. Evelyn took a deep breath, trying to reclaim the calm that the letter had briefly gifted her. "No, I think I need to face this." With determination, she stood, clutching the letter tightly in one hand and the envelope still clasped in the other. As she approached the door, each step felt heavier, as if she was not just walking toward the entrance but stepping back into memories she thought she had left behind. She placed her hand on the cold doorknob, her heart thundering again. With a swift, trembling motion, she turned it and pulled the door ajar. Standing there was an older man, his face worn and kind, with gray hair and gentle eyes that seemed to soften when he recognized her. "Evelyn?" he asked, a hint of uncertainty in his voice. "Yes, I'm Evelyn. Do I know you?" she replied, her voice steady, even as confusion knotted her stomach. "I'm Henry," he said softly, glancing over his shoulder, almost as if he was expecting someone to emerge from the shadows. "Your mother and we were friends, long ago." Evelyn's mind whirled. Friends? It was a word she had never associated with her mother's past. Friends? She echoed, the word tasting foreign. "What do you mean?" He took a slight step closer, lowering his voice. "I have something for you. Something important from your mother. She wanted you to have it." Evelyn felt a wave of emotions crash over her. What could it be? Her mother's smooth handwriting flashed in her mind, her gentle words still echoing in her heart. "Please, come in," she said, stepping back to make room for him. Her heart pounded with questions, and the room felt charged with an energy that vibrated off the walls. Henry followed her inside, a look of warmth crossing his features. He glanced around the room where so many memories lingered just above the surface. "It's nice to see you in your mother's home," he remarked, a fond smile gracing his lips. As he settled into a chair, Evelyn's curiosity intensified. "What was she to you?" she asked, her voice steady but laced with urgency. He hesitated, his gaze drifting to the photograph Evelyn had yet to discover in the envelope. "Your mother, she had a spirit that drew people to her. We shared a bond, one that went deeper than friendship. But life took us different directions." Evelyn felt something stir within her, a flicker of hope and the thrill of long-lost connection. Could this man be a piece of the puzzle she was desperately trying to complete? "Why didn't I know about you?" she pressed, wanting to lay bare the threads of her mother's past. Henry shifted in his seat, a hint of sorrow clouding his eyes. "It wasn't my place to tell you, but I thought you should know, and I have a letter she wrote for you, a continuation of the one you received today." That twist of fate sent chills down Evelyn's spine. Another letter? As if sensing her overwhelming emotions, Daniel moved to stand beside her, his presence a steadying force. "Evelyn," he whispered, "whatever it is, you're not alone. We're here." The weight of the moment hung heavy in the air. Could this stranger truly hold more memories, more secrets of her mother? Just as she was about to respond, Henry's gaze flickered towards the door again. A sound rustled outside, a low murmuring that threatened to shatter their fragile bubble. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed, and the door trembled in its frame. Evelyn's heart dropped. What now? With newfound resolve, she tightened her grip on the envelope, ready to confront whatever lay ahead. "What is going on?" she demanded, fear and anticipation intertwining. "Let us find out," Daniel nodded, determination set in his eyes. And with that, they were all drawn toward the door again, the mystery deepening as the world outside pulsed with fresh uncertainties. What awaited them now? Evelyn's breath caught in her throat as she and Daniel edged closer to the door. Each creak of the wooden floor beneath their feet was loud in the charged atmosphere. Her mind raced, uncertainty gnawing at her. What could be waiting out there? Henry rose slowly, his eyes full of a calm that contrasted sharply with the chaos swelling outside. "Perhaps it's just the wind," he suggested, but his voice held a flicker of doubt. Evelyn turned the doorknob, a sense of dread twisting in her stomach. Daniel's hand found hers, a silent promise that he wouldn't let her face whatever lay beyond alone. With a steadying breath, she swung the door open, revealing a scene that made her heart plummet. A group of people stood in the quiet expanse of her front yard, their expressions a mix of concern and urgency. Evelyn recognized a few of them from the neighborhood, but the sight that sent a shockwave through her was a crumpled heap of what looked like a bicycle on the ground, with a teenager kneeling beside it. "Are you okay?" the boy's voice rang out, filled with panic as he looked up at her. "My friend fell off his bike. He's hurt." A girl rushed forward, her eyes wide and frantic. "We knocked on your door," but her voice faltered as she took in the worried trio standing behind Evelyn. Evelyn quickly stepped out, her instinct to help overriding her fear. "Where is he? Let me see." The moment she stepped outside, the heavy scent of grass and dirt mixed with the coppery tang of blood hit her. She knelt beside the boy, whose face was pale and eyes squeezed shut. Adrenaline surged through her as she assessed his injuries. "Stay with me," she said firmly, gripping his shoulder. "Help is on the way." Daniel and Henry shared a look, then moved forward to assist, Daniel hovering protectively near Evelyn as he called for someone to dial 911. Henry knelt by Evelyn's side, a reassuring presence. "You're doing great," he murmured, searching the boy's bike for clues about how the accident happened. "Just keep talking to him." Against the backdrop of the commotion, Evelyn felt something shift within her. The feeling of urgency pulled her from her own tangled emotions and focused her on the needs of another. "What's your name?" she asked the injured boy. "Jake," he mumbled, his voice shaky but resolute. "It hurts, I know, Jake. But you're going to be okay. Just focus on my voice." Evelyn spoke with calm authority, hoping it would wrap around him like a blanket. In that moment, she grasped how profound connection could be, how moments of fear could act as powerful catalysts for empathy. As the sounds of sirens approached, the energy of the yard shifted. People rallied around, offering comfort and support. Evelyn's heart swelled seeing her neighbors step up, sharing in the warmth of community that had once felt distant. When the paramedics finally arrived, it felt like a release. They flourished through the crowd with authority, assessing Jake and ensuring he received quick care. Evelyn stood off to the side, her breaths evening out as she watched the flurry of activity. The chaotic moments had made her realize she wasn't alone, not in that yard, not in her life. Every person from her past, her present, and now this fragile future, wove into a tapestry she had yet to understand fully. "Thank you for helping him," the girl said, eyes filled with gratitude. "We were so scared." Evelyn felt a warmth radiate within her. We all come together when it counts. You did great, too. Just then, a thought jogged at the back of her mind. The letter, the unfinished business with her mother, and dread washed over her. What did I just step into? She wondered silently, the intimation heightening the weight of what was still to come. Suddenly, Henry's face turned solemn, breaking through her thoughts. Evelyn, about that letter, I think it's time you read it. There's something in it that ties all of this together. Her heart raced all over again, understanding that not only did she have to confront her mother's past but also uncover what secrets, and perhaps even truths, awaited her. Evelyn glanced from Henry to Daniel and back to the envelope clutched tightly in her hand. Would this letter hold the key, stirring not just memories but unveiling connections she'd never anticipated? As the crowd began to disperse, the air shimmered with possibilities and a sense of urgency. She turned back to Henry. Let's sit down. I need to see what's in that letter. And in that moment, she felt the weight and pull of fate bridging her mother's past with her present, leading her toward revelations that could change everything. Would she be ready for the storm that came next? Evelyn sat down at the kitchen table, her heart still racing from the accident outside. The kitchen was filled with the echo of laughter from the past mixed with the tension of the present. The letter lay before her, the envelope's weight feeling heavier than ever. Are you sure you want to do this now? Daniel asked, concern etched on his face. Evelyn nodded, her determination steadying her hand as she grasped the envelope. It feels right, she said simply. I need to see what my mom wanted to tell me. What if it helps us all heal? With a deep breath, she tore the envelope open again, revealing another neatly folded piece of paper, just as delicate and worn as the first. As she unfolded it, her eyes scanned the familiar handwriting, instantly transporting her back to a time she had long believed to be lost. Dearest Evelyn, she began, her voice barely above a whisper, as if she were afraid to disturb the air around them. If you're reading this, it means you're at a crossroads, a moment of reckoning. Life is a series of choices, and I am sorry for the choices I made that left you feeling abandoned. The words wrapped around her heart, squeezing tightly with every line she read. Evelyn could feel the warmth of tears returning, but this time, they were laced with a strange mix of hope and understanding. I want you to know that it was never about you or your worth. It was about my fears and shortcomings. I let them take me away from you. I was scared, not just for me, but for you. I thought leaving would spare you the pain. I see now how misguided I was. Evelyn glanced up at Henry and Daniel, both of whom were standing close, hanging on to every word. I have someone who can tell you things I never could. An old friend who knows the truth. Find him, and he will guide you. Love doesn't just live in memories. It lives in us, always. Together, you can create something beautiful. The last message felt like a beacon against the shadows of doubt that had clung to her. Evelyn's heart soared. What friend? Who is she talking about? She wondered aloud, her fingers tracing the letter's edges. Yet, the flicker of hope was quickly dimmed by the dread lingering like fog just below the surface. Could unveiling the truths from her past truly lead her toward healing and connection? Just then, the door swung wide open again, and a familiar figure stepped into the warmth of the home, her daughter, Lily. The little girl rushed in, bouquet of wildflowers in hand. Mom! They said Jake's okay. He just had a scare. Evelyn scooped her daughter into her arms, her heart swelling. That's wonderful. I was so worried. You were brave today. Lily's innocent smile illuminated the room, brightening even the heaviest heart. You were brave too, Mom. Just like the superhero in my book. Evelyn felt the cold weight of her fears start to melt, reminded of the shared bonds they had. We're all brave in our own ways. She looked around at the faces gathered in her kitchen, Daniel, Henry, even Ruth, who had joined them quietly. We have to be brave enough to face the past together. The tension shifted in the room, lifting just a bit, like sun breaking through clouds. The air crackled with excitement and uncertainty, forging a fragile thread of connection among them all. "Evelyn," Henry said gently, bringing her back to the moment. "Your mother's friend, I might have a clue about who she meant. I only knew bits and pieces, but I can help you find answers." At that moment, the encouragement surged in her veins. "Yes. Let us find out who this friend is. We could unravel the threads connecting her past to our present. It's time to truly bring our family together once and for all." As they huddled around the table, talking excitedly about the journey ahead, the heavy air of mystery transformed into a field of possibility. They would dive into the stories waiting to be uncovered. With renewed purpose, Evelyn looked at her daughter, her friends, and family gathered around her, ready to face whatever lay ahead. Their bonds had been stitched together, every tear and scar transforming into a tapestry of resilience. They could write a new chapter together, filled with healing, curiosity, and love. And they would do it as a family. Together, Evelyn declared, a radiant smile breaking through. "Let us turn over every stone and find that friend. Let us honor the love that we've held back for too long." Moments later, they embraced, a collective breath igniting a palpable charge of hope. The past and present converged, leading them toward a future woven with shared strength and the unmistakable promise of connection that could withstand anything a family renewed. This was just the beginning. Now more than ever, I urge you to stay connected. You need to subscribe now to ensure you don't miss the next chapters of this incredible journey. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep the story flowing. Comment below your feelings about this powerful conclusion. And don't wait not even one more second to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this amazing transformation unfold.